Hello and welcome to today's Facebook Live. I'm Jessica Pottermeal, lead instructor for the Career Development course here at the Nutritional Therapy Association and head of marketing here at the NTA as well. And today I am thrilled to be kicking off our Facebook Live business series. Here at NTA, we're not only committed to providing you with an exceptional education in foundational, holistic nutrition, we're also here to support you every step of the way as you turn your passion for nutrition into a fulfilling career. And whether you're a graduate of one of our programs or not, please know that you are invited to join us in Austin this September 29th and 30th for our Business Summit, where we're going to be dedicating the weekend to providing you with actionable, powerful, relevant tools to create a successful career in this field. And today, I am so excited to be digging into strategy, resources, and a 6-part framework for creating group programs with Abigail Hopkins. Abigail is the co-founder of That Clean Life, an online meal planning service that makes eating healthy, simple, and fun again. She is also an expert in group nutrition programs and is here to share her 6-part framework with us on how to run a successful group program. Since launching in 2015, Abigail and her team have helped tens of thousands of people from all over the world feel awesome about the food that they're putting into their bodies. That Clean Life empowers individuals seeking meal planning help, as well as wellness professionals who are building meal plans for their clients and their communities. Abigail, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to be digging in here to group programs, and amazing that you started this meal planning service in 2015. Here we are in 2018, and the growth trajectory of what you're providing, your service, your business has been astronomical. So first, amazing job on that. Thank you for the support you're providing to our community, and welcome to the Facebook Live today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, to get started, the first thing I'd love to know is a little bit about how you got to where you are today and how your journey led you to creating your meal planning platform, That Clean Life.
Yeah, so I guess it kind of all started when I was working full-time as a registered nurse, and I kind of hit rock bottom with my own health, and I needed to find a way to eat healthy that was fun and sustainable, because I had tried diets, I had tried all the not so fun stuff, and I knew there had to be a better way. And I really discovered that when I took the time to plan my meals and, invest the time in sitting down and writing out what I was going to eat and making a grocery list, I really felt better both mentally and physically. But the problem was the process of meal planning was so time consuming. So first, what I would do is I'd sit and find all the recipes that I wanted to make. And then I'd have to manipulate them to create the right number of servings. And then I would kind of derive a grocery list and then do my grocery shopping and prep and on and on. And I knew there had to be a better way. So my husband, Christopher, is actually a software engineer, and he would watch me do this every week and be like, I can build something that would make this a lot easier for you. So that's when we created That Clean Life, which originally started out as a platform for just the average person, individuals and families to come on and build meal plans for themselves or the families, like I said. And the way it worked is you would just add delicious meals to your meal plan, and from that, a grocery list would be automatically generated. But then over the first year, we had a lot of wellness professionals coming to us being like, I need to use this with my clients. This is solving a really big problem that I'm having. So I spent a lot of time talking to wellness professionals, and I learned that they're creating these customized meal plans for each client, and it was taking up so much of their time. And as a result, most wellness professionals just weren't doing it. They weren't offering it as a part of their service. And it was a huge problem, and it was creating this massive gap between the advice they were giving and then their clients actually executing on that advice, because they didn't have the right supporting materials to kind of guide them. So clients weren't achieving their goals. Nutritionists weren't becoming successful. They were extremely frustrated. And I knew that Clean Life could help. So that's when we launched That Clean Life for Business, which really allows nutritionists to create these effective custom branded nutrition programs for their clients in minutes instead of having to spend hours on it. And today we're helping thousands of wellness professionals make this world a healthier and happier place through the power of nutrition.
I love that. And you're doing such a beautiful job with it. Thank you. And I love hearing how this really came from your own struggles, really from you building it from the ground up, from something that was so real to you, a real problem for you, and translating, personally having been in practice for 6 years, I am very familiar with the amount of time and energy that it takes to build out meal plans for clients, to build out these shopping lists, and sometimes when you're working, especially when you're working with people who are pretty sick, they don't necessarily have the energy, the mental clarity to do what you were doing and listing all of this out, figuring out exactly what they need to buy. So by giving it to them in such a clean, clear way is such a benefit both for the client as well as the practitioner. So that's just wonderful that you dug in and created that. And I'd love to hear how, in talking about group programs today as sort of the main topic, I'd love to hear about the 6-part framework that you recommend practitioners use for running a group program and how they can implement something like That Clean Life or some sort of meal planning service to make running a group program even easier for them.
Yeah, so I'm a really big fan of frameworks because just like a meal plan that gives you a meal plan, a grocery list, and recipes and something to clearly follow so that you can reach your goals, I feel like frameworks in business are the exact same way. When you have a step-by-step process that you can follow to implement something, like to get to the goal you want to achieve, it's so helpful. So that's why we've created this 6-step framework to running an awesome group program. So as you guys know, coaching clients one-on-one is great, but when you're trading time for dollars, there's only so many clients you can see in a day. So it's really great to run a group program because you can see multiple clients at once through your group program, and you can expand your impact, you can help more people, and you can also grow your revenue. So we're big fans of group programs here at That Clean Life. So let's get into the step-by-step process. So step 1 is outlining the details. 2 is building your email list. 3 is creating the program. 4 is marketing the program. Then you run the program and get feedback and repeat. So I'm going to break down each of these steps in some detail. So feel free to interrupt me if there's any questions at all as we go along. And I'm happy to expand. So step 1 is outlining the details of your group program. So this step is often overlooked because you get so excited about running a group program and you just kind of want to launch into the whole thing without really thinking of the details. So I really encourage you, step 1, take some time to sit down and outline kind of like your thought process, figure out who is your ideal participant in this program and what problem this group program is going to solve for them. Because if you just launch right into it and create a program that nobody really wants or that isn't really solving a problem, you're going to have a really hard time getting participants. So take the time up front to figure out who you're going to target for your program and how you're going to help them.
I love that. And just is there do you like doing this kind of old school pen and paper? Do you have a project management tool that you like to use when you're sort of fleshing these ideas out? Anything for your personal preference?
I've done both ways. For smaller projects, when you're just getting started, there's, you can do it on pen and paper. You can outline it in Google Docs. You're going to find the more group programs you run and the more complexity that's introduced, like the tech part and all that stuff, you might want to use a project management system. We personally love Trello. Have you tried Trello?
Yes, that's what I use personally. That's what we use at NTA. We're huge fans of Trello. If anybody isn't familiar with Trello, it's a free online project management tool. It's great because it's very visual and it has these lists and these cards that you can like slide over for different due dates and breaking things down into smaller tasks. So yes, we are huge Trello fans over here.
Amazing. So like I could talk about Trello all day because I think it's just the best way to organize. Like I plan my wedding on Trello. So that's how much I love it. So that's a great one to use if you're project is more complicated, but like at the beginning, try to keep it simple as possible. And kind of scale up on the technology as you go. It's also important in this phase, in this first step, to consider what are you going to call the program, and never underestimate the importance of a title, because the title needs to clearly communicate to the person what the problem is and how it's going to help them. So people like to use the words like transformation or reset. Stuff like that really works well for group programs. You also need to consider how long the group program is going to run for. I typically recommend 2 to 3 weeks, depending on your, how in depth you want to go and the problem you're trying to solve. Obviously, like something like healing the gut would take a lot longer to achieve that. So it depends, but just consider that the longer your program goes, the longer you're going to have to keep people engaged, which can sometimes be a challenge. So I sometimes recommend the shorter, the better. And the cost to participate as well. Like that's a very important factor. You should charge for your group programs. You're going to invest a lot of time in setting this up and creating the materials for it and providing the support. So definitely put a fair price tag on your program. Don't undercharge. I see this happening a lot. Pricing can be tricky, but it's something you just kind of gotta get over and go for if you're going to be successful in business.
Absolutely. And probably will depend too on the amount of support that you're going to be providing your participants. Any other factors that you, off the top of your head, would think of in terms of how to help practitioners price?
Yeah. So support, like you said, the level of support you're going to get. The materials, the length of the program will determine how much it costs. So a lot of people like to price by the week, which, when you break it down that way, sometimes seems more approachable. If you tell people they're going to be paying $50 a week to participate in this program or something that, then they don't see that bigger price tag. They can break it down as that kind of investment. And the complexity of the program as well. If you're solving a really niche problem that you've put a lot of training and thought into, if the program's taking you a lot of time to create, like sometimes, hormone balancing programs can be really tricky and, require extra training. So all that's going to factor in, and how long you've been practicing as a practitioner as well. Generally the longer you practice, the more you can charge. So there's so many factors that go into pricing. And this is why it's so important to sit down and make step one, figuring all of that out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's move on to step two, which is kind of surprising. Some people might not see this is the way I'm going to go with this, but it's building your email list, because I really believe that having an email list is the best way to market your group program. So before you go any further, start building your list. If you're not signed up for like an email software program like MailChimp or ConvertKit or something like that, get signed up for that. Start collecting email addresses of your ideal client. And a great way to do this is through a lead magnet. So a lead magnet is something, you guys have probably seen this online, where you go to a website and they're like, hey, download my 10 favorite recipes in exchange for your email address. So you type in your email address, you get the recipe book, and then you're on their list so that they can start communicating with you. So because we're talking about group programs, I really want to emphasize that it's so important that your lead magnet relates back to your group program, right? Because you don't want to create a lead magnet that has nothing to do with your group program. So for example, if you were running, say, a 30-day weight loss challenge, maybe your lead magnet is 5 weight loss breakfast recipes that take 10 minutes or less to make. So that way you're attracting your ideal client, who is somebody who's looking to lose weight, and you're going to build an email list full of the right people. And that's another way you can use that clean life, is to create those lead magnets or recipe books or short meal plans and stuff that you can ask people to download and in exchange for their email address.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Such a valuable set of tips you gave there. One, just the value of an email list and why this is something that constantly does need our focus, it needs our attention. And as practitioners, we are small business owners most of the time. If we're independent practitioners, not working with an allied professional or not working in a clinical group setting, oftentimes we are our own business owners. And that email list is your network, right? That's your kind of hot prospect list with people who are most interested in having you help them. So, Abigail, I just love that you highlighted this as such an important thing to keep in mind. And this can be applied not just to the success of your group programs, but really ultimately to the success of your business, that you're constantly growing your own network in creating those, developing your email list. And a couple of great resources that you mentioned too here, MailChimp, ConvertKit. I personally use both. I currently use ConvertKit, but MailChimp I've used before. MadMimi is another great one. So if you guys aren't yet set up with an email service provider, MadMimi and MailChimp are two, they have great free programs that you can hop onto. The first X amount of subscribers you get for free. So definitely I would recommend checking those out if you haven't yet. So those are awesome tips so far, Abigail. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I can't emphasize email lists enough because of all the ways to market yourself in this industry. You know, I've been doing this for years now, and I really feel like email is the best because when you send an email, it goes straight into somebody's inbox. Whereas when you're trying to market on Facebook or Instagram, the algorithm determines whether your post is seen or not. So email is the most direct route to your ideal customer. And if you can, you know, provide them value through your email list, constantly be reaching out with stuff for free content that provides value to them. And then when you have something to sell, that person will already know, like, and trust you and will be that much more likely to want to buy from you and upgrade to your paid services. But moving on to step 3, which is actually creating the program. So once you've outlined all the details of your program and you have this nice little lead magnet running on the side that's building your email list so that when it's time to market your program, you have people to talk to, it's time to create a program that will change participants' lives. And this is where it becomes so important to choose a topic that's of interest to your ideal clients. I can't emphasize that enough. And creating the supporting materials. So you have to determine, you know, what does your client get with this program? So do they get weekly meal plans with grocery lists and recipes? Do they get recipe books where they do their own meal planning and they kind of, you know, you guide them through that? Do they get access to a Facebook group for support and accountability? Totally up to you. There is no right or wrong answer. So never feel like there's like this one size fits all approach to running a group nutrition program, because there's not. So you're gonna want to get clear on what is involved in your group program and choose how the content will be delivered too. So some people do in-person group programs where they have weekly meetups, and then other people run their group programs online. You can also use platforms like Teachable, or you can even upload your group program through Dropbox and share the links with your participants. The technology is very vast and can be very overwhelming. So pick a method to deliver your materials and your group program, and go from there. You can always change it in a group program down the road. Okay, so that's step 3. And now step 4, you've got everything pulled together. It's time to market your program so that you can get signups. And you're going to need to invest just as much time into marketing your program as you do creating it. So there are some really easy ways to promote your group program. You can focus on one. You can try a variety. You can send out a series of emails to promote your program. That's usually the most effective because you've been working on building your mailing list. You can also write blog posts related to your group program, so around that topic, so that you're providing value. And then at the end, kind of mention, if you're interested in this, I have a group program running on this day, starting on this day, and here's how to sign up. You can also share the details of your program across your social media channels. So think about your Instagram, your Facebook, Twitter if you're using it, and even LinkedIn is a great channel. Another way is to give a free talk in person. So seek out opportunities like at your local gym or your health food store where you could give a free talk related to the topic of your group program, similar like what I was mentioning with the blog post. And then at the end, you kind of divert into your offer where you say, and if you like this content, here's my group program, which you can sign up for. The opposite to a free talk, like a free talk in person, would be if you want to move that online, you could do a free webinar or a Facebook Live. Like this is really great to get in front of your ideal client. And all the while you're doing this, just make sure you keep promoting your lead magnet. So even if those people aren't interested or aren't ready to buy your group program quite yet, at least you'll get them onto your mailing list and you can stay in touch that way.
Yeah, and I love how each of these marketing strategies that you outline here are all value first, right? They're all leading value. And
right.
that is, I think, the best way to approach marketing. It feels the best for us as practitioners. We don't have to feel sleazy. We don't have to feel salesy. We are, approaching marketing in a heart-centered way when we do it like this, because we're really able to lead with value, provide things that people want, while ultimately leading them toward this group program, which is going to be providing them ultimate value, right? Because then you're really going to be helping walk them through, et cetera. So I just wanted to emphasize and highlight the approach that you're taking there and how valuable and effective that is, again, for, like you said, creating that know, like, and trust factor, which is kind of like a trifecta in the marketing world, right? Helping people get to know you, helping them get to like you, and engendering that trust in you. Because as practitioners, right, this is such an intimate relationship we have with our clients. It's so important that we foster that feeling of trust with those that we're trying to serve, those that we're trying to reach. Because ultimately, when we get into that group program setting or that one-on-one setting, we are creating a pretty intimate relationship with our clients and our group program participants. So thanks so much for highlighting that.
Yeah, I feel like there's kind of two major camps that you might notice when people do online marketing. We've all kind of experienced the people who try to sell to us all the time that you eventually unfollow or you unsubscribe because they're just always trying to sell you something and you're not getting much value out of it. And then on the complete other end of the spectrum is the people who are just always providing value and, don't have the business mindset to monetize it. So I want you guys to think of it somewhere kind of in the middle, where you're providing lots of value on a continual basis. And every now and then you're going to give them an offer that they can't refuse because you've already provided them with a ton of free value. And that way, like you said, it doesn't need to feel icky. It doesn't need to feel like gross marketing or selling because it's coming from a place where you want to provide value and from where you can really help these people. And when you market right, you're targeting the right people who need your help too. So that's really important.
Exactly.
Yeah. So step 5 is running the program. So I really like to set dates with group programs so that there's a hard start and end date to keep people engaged through. And it also is easier to market the program when you have a start date because you can create that sense of urgency to sign up. So once you're running the group program, I really like the model of using a weekly meal plan with recipes and a grocery list to guide people through week by week. I also really like using Facebook groups for this to keep all the people participating together so that they can ask questions out in the open. You can start creating that community around your business. I think that's a really great way to do it. You need to support your participants as they work through the program and keep them engaged. You need to be accessible, whether that's through email or phone or in your Facebook group. The great thing about Facebook groups is it prevents you from having to answer multiple emails. So if one person has a question, they answer it out in the open instead of 20 people sending you that same question and you having to answer each one on an individual basis. So that's kind of a pro tip. Offer as much value as you can throughout your group program and really ensure an amazing experience so that your participants will turn into raving fans and want to be your customers in the long term and tell all their friends about you as well. And then finally, step 6 is getting feedback, upselling, and repeat. So once you wrap up the end of your group program, you're going to want to ask your participants for feedback on what they enjoyed, what they liked, what they didn't like, what you could have done to better support them. I know this is a super challenging thing. Sometimes it can be hard to accept feedback and criticism, but it's what helps us grow. It's so important in improving your group program. So you can take this feedback, get a thick skin, and then take the feedback and use it to improve your next round of your group program. So you don't need to go out and create a totally new group program. You can take the feedback you've gotten. This will be a huge learning experience, especially if it's your first time, and repeat this group program in a month or so when you've made some improvements. And also, guys, at the end of your group program, this is when your participants will be, hopefully, if you've done everything right, they'll be feeling great, they'll be feeling motivated, and a lot of them will be looking at continuing, and they might need your continued support. So this is a great opportunity, and don't miss out on this, to upsell them to your other services. So maybe you do consulting, you see clients one-on-one. Maybe you have something else going on, like you're running a workshop later on. Use this opportunity at the end of your programs to let your clients know how they continue working with you in the long term, so that they don't feel like it ends here and they go back to their old habits. So that is really important. So basically, final step is just making improvements, doing that upsell, making that offer, and then repeating this whole process over again on your next group program.
I love it. I love that. It's such a clean, followable pattern in order to just execute a successful group program. I think those steps are perfect. And I also see how that something like that Clean Life could fit really well into that delivery step, where rather than creating those meal plans and shopping lists yourself, you can use something like that Clean Life. Can you talk a little bit more about how you've done that in the past, or how you'd recommend somebody do use that?
Yeah, so that's why I've kind of gotten to know this process so well, is because we started out running group programs. So what that Clean Life for Business helps practitioners do is it helps you create the materials for your group program. So one of the hardest parts about running a group program, which you guys may know or you might start to find out, is once you get to that place where you need to create the materials for your group program, it can be super overwhelming, especially if you're running a 3-week program and you want to offer participants new recipes and meal plans with grocery lists every week. That can cost you a lot of time in creating that. So what we help you do at That Clean Life is you can come on, you can build those resources, you can upload your logo basically in minutes and export them as PDFs that you can then use to guide your group programs, which is super handy. I'm a big fan of the meal plan grocery list recipes kind of framework as to guide your group programs, because it keeps people trying the same things. It keeps everybody organized and on track. They're never wondering what to make next or wondering what they can and can't eat because you've outlined it for them. So we help you do all that, add your custom branding, and save a ton of time while doing it. And it's actually kind of fun. It looks a lot like Pinterest. So the process won't be super terrible.
Who doesn't like that? Hey.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Abigail. Thank you so much for sharing these steps, for creating what you've created with That Clean Life. What an incredible resource for us as practitioners. And thanks so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right. And if anybody has questions for Abigail, you're welcome to pop them into the chat. We're going to end off here, but she can stick around for a few minutes and just type in any answers to any questions that you have in the text below. All right. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Bye, everyone.